There is one specific car, no, one model that gives me the most incredibly warmest feeling. And what is the answer? The IZH 2125, the early version, and today I'm going to show it to you, and it's still in use to this day. But first, a bit of history. It is necessary to understand why they made this when, at the same time, something similar was being produced, namely the Moskvich 412, but it was necessary. The factory in Izhevsk, a military enterprise, serious business, had been successfully stamping out the Moskvich 408 since December 12, 1966, and then in '67, the Moskvich 412 appeared. By the way, all the machines used to stamp the body parts were entirely imported. But fashion doesn't stand still. Technology is leaping forward by giant strides, and it was urgent to change. And the designers at Izhevsk weren't standing still either. But there was no money, but you hang in there. As a result, the IZH 2125. Essentially, it is a matter of compromise. A delicate compromise between the original vision and the practical possibilities available. In short, once again, the entire rear part of the car was supposed to be more elegant, more modern. The door, for example, was supposed to go all the way down to the bumper, the rear windows rounded along the bottom edge, and there were supposed to be as many as 4 headlights. Thankfully, it turned out well with the face. It's simply a miracle. It resembles the 412, but with a unique grille. The slits are vertical and small, the headlights are from the GDR from Faro. By the way, you can adjust the headlights without removing, well, in this case, the radiator grille. These were originally installed on Wartburgs, 412s, Rafiks, and our buses. To put it simply, the front end turned out quite stylish, especially the side marker turn signals. And the entire front part is outlined by a chrome composite frame. Basically, it's a picture in chrome. Well, the paint job is original. The fenders are from the 412, the mirrors are Avazovsky. The hubcap was stolen. Well, like I said, the car has been in use its whole life. Well, imagine you got new teeth and your friend comes up and says, "That's fake, couldn't you find the original ones?" All right, let's continue. It's wet. Looking at the roof, there are no stiffening ribs like on later models, which means the metal is 0.8 millimeters thick. Not 0.7 like it was later. Among the early features, and our car is from 1979, are the handles, which are injury-prone, meaning they're the regular proper ones. Vent windows on the doors, of course, hubcaps on the wheels, and naturally, the entire divine front end. Soviet-style unification. The entire front part is from the 412, but the whole rear is unique to this model. Up to the rear end. So many arguments have been sparked by enthusiasts discussing other people's rear ends. Rear ends. Backsides. The body of this hedgehog is a wagon and nothing else, not a hatchback. Please remember that. A hatchback is a shortened version of the base sedan. But here, the length is the same as the 412, and there's a little step. That's exactly what defines everything. And it's not a station wagon, because the angle of the door is different. Although the locals call all bodies with a 5th door station wagons. Forget everything else. The main thing in this car is the cargo compartment. By the way, the lid can be lifted up to 1.84 meters, which is considerably taller than the average height of a USSR resident. I can say with absolute confidence that its layout had no equal among other locally produced domestic vehicles. The keywords here are practicality and thoughtful design. For example, the volume is about 300 liters, but this expands by folding the rear bench, where the seat cushion becomes a wall separating passengers from the cargo. Then the capacity is roughly 1.25 cubic meters. So comrades, it is actually quite simple. Just move it a little bit forward and then pull out the seat cushion. Unclip the latches. Now. Oops, sorry. Oh. A board. Well, that means you need a board. Have you seen how thin and elegant the ashtrays are here? Brown plastic. Looks like bakelite. There's no point in talking about the interior, but for the record, I have to show it. It's from the class progenitor, the 408, with improvements in the style of the 412, featuring all the resulting leatherettes, vinyls, and rubber. The dashboard is wrapped in porous, injury-safe plastic to comply with European safety standards. And overall, it's stylish. The radio isn't the same anymore, but it's worth noting that it was always here. Communist luxury for the working people. And also under the floor. Didn't work out under the floor? Didn't work out, oh well. The spare tire is hidden. Something... Oh damn, just look at the massive size of this thing. The spare tire only takes up, well, about 50% of the space. You could easily pile half a garage in here, maybe an extra battery, or even a spare starter. P. Practicality. And as Sonia likes, the tank is in the back. Under the hood, just as it has always been, and just as it will always continue to be, remaining constant as ever, until the moment of death. And I don't even feel like joking. A gasoline inline 4-cylinder engine with a displacement of 1,480 cubic centimeters. Maximum power is 75 horsepower at 5,800 RPM. Maximum torque is 107 Newton meters at 3,400 to 3,800 RPM. The valves are arranged in a V shape and are driven by rocker arms. A distinctive feature is the cast iron sleeves in the aluminum block. Amen. Repetition is the mother of learning. The engine design began in the middle of 1964, and by 1965 it was already undergoing testing. About 30 engines from leading European and other manufacturers were studied. That's why this engine is the quintessence of the best. Hey debaters, this engine is slanted like a BMW engine and looks like a BMW engine, and the carburetor here is from a VAZ 2108. It'll be fun, it'll be absolutely fun, but it's a bit cramped for 2 people in here. Ah, my lovely little Rose, thank you so much. The creator of this unknown beauty has already thought of a perfect place for the phone. Well, of course, there's definitely some DIY work involved here, but let's not focus too much on that right now. It is beautiful, everything is looking good, and the radio is playing, ah. So, he said, let's go. Everyone has it. The IZH 125 Combi started production in 1973 and was made until 1997. 2 interesting points. First, it is actually difficult to find an early IZH since before the modernization, according to some open sources, only 66,500 cars were ever produced. And that's very, very few for the whole country. Whoever figured out the IZH owned a supercar. Payload capacity according to the manual, 200 kilograms and 2 villagers. But people loaded up to half a ton in here. Because in the village, how is it? If there's space, you have to load everything. And the car could handle it. And all thanks to the fact that it has a frame. Just kidding. That's a lie. Yes, there's a hint in it, a lesson for good fellows. It's not a frame, of course, but the side members under the bottom are reinforced and, in essence, create a frame. The 412 doesn't have that. On top of that, the rear leaf spring axle was given 2 extra leaf springs. And it would seem these minor changes increased the load capacity of the Combi without sacrificing ride smoothness. That is, you can carry 300 kilograms on its back and the ride is still pleasant, smooth, with no bottoming out. The brakes here are dual circuit, reliable, well, if you adjust them, with a booster. There's a reason I mentioned it. In Izhevsk, it first appeared on the Combi, and only later on, the 412, just like the electric windshield washer. The Combi was an engine of progress, and its quality was significantly higher, especially compared to other Moskvich models, since the USSR Ministry of Defense, which oversaw IZHMASH, was responsible for setting its standards. The gearbox, 4 speeds, all synchronized. Well, Sasha, what don't you like this time, huh? When it works, it's like a song. When it doesn't, it's a sorrow. Genetically, it's from the 407, but here it has different bearings, different bushings. Not the point. The old lady knows how to swing her hips. Another story. In 1982, a modernization took place. And that very station wagon is the one everyone remembers. They produced significantly more of it than the first series. The total production run of all 21 to 25 models exceeded 414,000 units. And it turns out that this car was made for longer than the Vazik Kopeyka. Visibility? Excellent. I already mentioned reliability, but what else? The repairability is truly fantastic, essentially meaning you can fix the car using just a standard set of wrenches. I emphasize practically any component. I think it was a mistake. Our country abandoned the further development of rear-wheel drive, reliable, inexpensive cars. Back then. But that was back then. The main thing is that they don't remember this today. Although the hunt continues.